Clara Barton stood up for what she believed in and changed the world because of it. Proving people wrong was her specialty, and doing whatever it takes to help people was her nature. At a young age, Clara's parents and siblings had a huge impact on who she would become in the future. She was a very shy and sensitive little girl in her early years, and listening to her father, Stephen Barton, tell his stories was her favorite thing to do. Sarah Barton was an extremely hard-working woman and demanded the same diligence from Clara. Clara's siblings also had an extreme influence on her by teaching her school things at a young age. One time, her brother David became ill, and the doctors prescribed a common cure of the time, bloodletting. Clara stayed by his side day and night and learned to care for him. Once David finally became well again, Clara realized that she loved to nurse and take care of people, as this would become important in the future. After her brother became well again, she lost her confidence and became so sensitive and shy that her mother reached out to someone for help, and he told them that Clara should study to become a teacher, and so she did. After long years of school, she finally became a teacher and was a very successful one. This regained her confidence, and she took control over many things. She realized at a point in time when she was teaching that the poor kids of the town were not getting an education and decided to do something about it when others would not even dare talk about it. After a few battles with the committee, she finally got a schoolhouse for the underprivileged children. After teaching a while, she became exhausted from all the hard work and decided to move to a new city and start a new life. She moved to Washington, D.C. because she thought the weather would help her. She worked as a clerk and was one of the few women in America to hold a government post. When the Civil War broke out, she wanted to become a soldier, but was not allowed, so she was determined to find a way to help soldiers. One night, she went to a train station and was expecting to see a couple of friends, but instead saw all the soldiers covered in blood and suffering from pain because there was not enough supplies to help them. She went home and got as much supplies as they could find and went out and spent her own money for supplies and wrote letters to people asking for all the supplies they can give. She had so much she had to rent 3 warehouses. Barton still felt as though it was not enough, so she tried to pursue the government to allow her to go onto the battlefield, which was unheard of for a woman to go out onto the battlefield, and she didn't have much luck, but she kept pushing and finally granted her a military pass. Each and every day she risked her life to save another. One time she showed up just in time for the supplies for a man, and the man called her the angel of the battlefield, and the press heard about it and wrote it in the papers so that the name stuck, and she was called that by many. Another time she had just got home from a very long day out on the battlefield, and a man came to her door and told her if she did not leave now she would get killed because the North were about to take over. So she got on a train, but of course didn't leave without making sure all the wounded and sick were also on the train. After the war ended, she decided that she wanted to help find all the families of the men who were missing and dead. She soon discovered that there was no official organization that did this, so she decided to start her own. And all her friend and her brought peace to 22,000 families. After this, she went on a lecture tours with famous authors such as Mark Twain, and doing this work exhausted her so much that the doctor told her to go get rest. So she went to England. While in England, a physician came and saw her and knew all about her and told her all about the Red Cross, and Barton was very interested. Although still recovering, Barton went to volunteer making bandages because there was a war between France and Persia. Barton still felt as though she would be more useful up front and on the battlefield. She went and helped out on the battlefield. Ill and exhausted once again, she returned to the U.S., which she was so weak she couldn't even get out of bed, but even through these hardships, she never forgot about the Red Cross. The president of the International Red Cross, Gustav Meunier, sent Barton a letter to give personally to Rutherford B. Hayes, the U.S. president at the time. Charged with such an important mission, she found the strength to go and talk to the president. At the meeting, Hayes took her letter and told her it was an amazing idea, but had to be seen by another important official. After not getting an answer for weeks, Clara was determined to find answers. She finally found someone to tell her what was actually going on, and was devastated by the news. The man told her that the U.S. had already had a chance of signing the Treaty of Guinevere, which was how a country got into the Red Cross, and didn't want to sign it in a risk of England messing with the government. Determined to find a way to help people, Clara came up with the idea of the American National Red Cross Society. The organization was modeled after the Red Cross in Europe, but one difference was that the American National Red Cross Society helped with disaster relief. The organization was timed just right because a massive forest fire broke out in Michigan, and they were there to help. After this happened, Clara Barton was in Washington, D.C., speaking with the president, Chester Alan Arthur. Her plan to prove that the U.S. needed the Red Cross worked, and the president was going to sign the Treaty of Guinevere. On May 21st, 1881, American had officially became a branch of the International Red Cross. In the first years, they were very busy. Clara Barton was the head president of the organization, so she was very busy. They helped with many national disaster reliefs, such as flood victims, tornado survivors, and provided support for earthquake victims. Their biggest disaster was a flood in Johnsontown, Pennsylvania. It almost destroyed a whole city, and thousands died because of it. The Red Cross helped clean up and build new buildings. Barton organized everything. She served as president of the Red Cross until 1904, when she decided to resign and let someone else take over so the Red Cross could grow and continue to help more people in a modern way. After the Red Cross, Clara lived at her home at Glen Echo, Maryland, and she died on April 13, 1912. The legacy Clara Barton left will never be forgotten, and her ability to stand up for herself and what she believed in and always find a way to help people will forever be remembered. The Red Cross thrives now, and if there is a disaster, you can count on them to be there. Without Barton's extreme courage, that would have never happened. An amazing organization changes lives all because someone took a stand and changed history by just trying to help others.